Stealthburn 34 says, is talking about the privatisation of the NHS, saying the Tories wanting to privatise the NHS is an extreme left-wing fantasy. Sorry, but I have to disagree with you with this, if for no other reason that they couldn't wait to privatise every other public service. Why the NHS, with all its earning power for private companies, would be the exception is beyond me. It has definitely been underfunded by the Tories. The figures show this very clearly. Granted, most things have been, but the NHS has been run down to the point of breaking. Well, part of the problem with the NHS is that really no matter how much money is fed into the NHS, it's never going to be enough because the bureaucracy has taken over. And the bureaucracy has definitely been privatised. It's heads of business and people completely unrelated to the management of hospitals who are the chief executives of the hospital trusts. And this seems to me to be absurd. And a lot of this has come in through the 2012 Health and Social Care Act, which imposed market-based approaches onto the NHS and tenders to deliver healthcare to various trusts, tenders reaching out to the private sector to do this, and franchises which indeed are a form of privatisation. So from that point of view, you're quite right. The present government has been engaged in a privatisation drive, but I don't think that means it is consciously running down the NHS. I think ideology has taken over from common sense, and the areas of investment in the NHS, which the government is so keen to say that it's providing, are mostly in terms of promoting its top-heavy and increasingly privatised bureaucracy, or bureaucracy which is based on private performance and models from the private sector, which are ill-fitting to the nature of the NHS. So I think it's not as straightforward as it appears, and I do caution people from promoting these these glib ideas about the NHS and about the way the government behaves, because it allows for more of that sort of behaviour. And what we need to do is address the reality rather than the slogans and the propaganda and the conspiracy theories. So has the government been running down the NHS consciously? No. But the government's inability to manage an organisation like the NHS, yes, that has led to it being run down significantly, and that has led to failures. The idea of competition, one trust against another, means that one trust doesn't speak to another trust. And that has been going on for, well, some time. Certainly, in my own experience, I had surgery in 2010 or 2011, which was chaotic because one trust didn't speak to another, one hospital didn't speak to another. And then I had surgery more recently in 2020, I think, or 2021, I can't remember. And again, one hospital didn't speak to another hospital, and I was back in the hospital after all my stitches exploded because they hadn't used the correct drugs, because they hadn't spoken to the Oxford Churchill Hospital. And again, blind stupidity based on this sort of competition between trusts. Competition with an organisation like the NHS doesn't really work. And I don't think it really works in the rail sector either. Our railways don't work because one railway provider doesn't really communicate with another, because we have tickets that don't work on different systems. And actually the travelling public doesn't care whether it's provided by Avanti or Great North Western. If the train is late, it's an inadequate service. It doesn't matter whether you have somebody with a trolley walking up and down the place, disturbing you and asking if you want a drink. The service is useless if it's not on time. In the same way, if your healthcare is inadequate and is unstructured, it's useless.